And now, it's time to fasten your seatbelts for Tom's trip around the world.
Hello viewers and welcome back to the third channel. Today we're talking about The Rear Guard, which is a US remake of Dad's Army. Now, copyright dependent, whether or not what you've just seen is the opening, so it's Dad's Army theme tune underneath, the extended 1 minute version. So what happened was, I was doing some research just before I filmed this to see if there's any more information than the information I already had. And there was. The whole article, I'm going to call it an article, written by Dan Howard, talking about the rear guard in more of a personal note, like talking to, about when it all was being filmed and the whole thing. So I thought, that's really clever. So I took a screenshot of the article, popped it with the Dad's Army theme tune. You've just seen that before this bit, so I can basically just talk about my opinions and a little bit more facts that I found from Wikipedia. Take it with a pinch of salt. That's my symbol of a pinch of salt, because he does salt onto things. Anyway, so and this is going to be my thoughts. I'm going to show you a clip that I've got. Hopefully that's allowed copyright. I got it from YouTube, so the clip is a clip from the pilot episode and the intro. So it's a bit of the pilot and the intro to it. So let's start this conversation. So Dad's Army is a 60s TV show started in black and white and ended in colour that's on gold nearly every day in the UK. It's all about the Home Guard, which was in World War II. The Home Guard were the men, the older men, mainly, that weren't able to go to war in World War II because of their oldness, but they still wanted to do their part for the war, so they stayed on duty. So if the Germans ever came to Britain, then they can do their job. So Dad's Army was a sitcom about that, written by Jimmy Perry and David Croft, David Croft also wrote Are You Being Served? Now, Wikipedia has their own article for Dad's Army, The Rear Guard, sorry, which is a US remake, but here's what the Wikipedia says. The Rear Guard is a 1976 pilot episode for an American adaptation of the British situation comedy sitcom Dad's Army set in World War II. The Rear Guard followed a band of men in the American Civil Defense 1942 who were part of the force in the event of an invasion of the US, so pretty much very similar to what the Home Guard were. The episode was an adaptation of Deadly, ATTACHMENT, which you're about to see a clip of now!
Although we know our finest men are off to fight the war, those at home are drilling at the church next door. The rear guard's over here.
At ease, men. Not you, you Nazis! They can take their hands down, Raskin.
I knew an Italian would be soft on the German.
I was born in Bayonne, New Jersey. I ain't no Italian, I'm an American.
You can take the boy out of the olive oil, but you can't take the olive oil out of the boy. You're not going to win this war.
Oh, yes, we are.
Oh, no, you're not.
Oh, yes, we are. Adolf Hitler is a jerk. He's nothing but a Nazi. He thinks that he will win the war. He's not so hotsy. Your name will also go on the list. What is it?
Don't tell him, Henderson.
Henderson, thank you, Captain.
What a good clip that was. Well, I say good clip. It was awful. Not as in awful. It was the quality wasn't that great, but that's just because of the version I've managed to get hold of. But it was a rehash of the Don't Tell Me Your Name Pike joke, which is the most famous joke in Dad's Army. So Henderson, why would you call him Henderson? Annoyed me that. So let's talk about more. Let's talk about more of this. So the characters. Who were the characters in The Rear Guard? As The Rear Guard was a remake of Dad's Army, it included many of the same characters using alternative names like Pike, Henderson. The list of characters are as follows. Captain Nick, Rosatti, which is which was a version of Captain Mannering, played by Cliff Norton. We had Sergeant Max Raskin, which is Sergeant Wilson, played by Lou Jacob, so Jacob with an I at the end. Burt Winger was Lance Corporal Jones, played by Eddie Faye Jr. Don Crawford, which is Private Walker, played by John McCook. And Bobby Henderson, Private Pike, played by Dennis Court. The characters of Private Godfrey and Fraser were not included in the remake. So, we've had some background information there. What did I'm not saying the acting was rubbish, because that's unfair, saying, oh, you're not a very good actor. That's unfair on them. The acting was perfect, was alright, it was good. But it was the way it was written. It wasn't written originally. It's the way it's written. It's all, with remakes, it's never the actors. It's always the way it's written. It's always the behind the scenes, the way it's written. Did I enjoy it? No. Would I watch it again? No. Would I have liked to see a full series? Only if they were planning to original episodes. Otherwise, no. Was it worth doing this review? Yes, to let you guys know. There's more information on the rear guard than anyone ever anticipated, because I've never seen anyone talk about it in a sense where there's this much information that I have acquired. Now, do I like Dad's Army? Do you want to know if I like Dad's Army? Well, I do like Dad's Army. I've seen every episode of Dad's Army. I've heard the radio series of Dad's Army, which are adaptations of the TV with all the characters, all the same actors, apart from one, because sadly one of the actors died before they got to do the radio series. I enjoyed the remake and the reboot, like the reimagined. I don't know how you. There were some missing episodes with Doctor Who, right? You have missing episodes and they get animated because 50% of the time, the missing episodes is the visual element. The audio element is perfectly fine. It's a big finish, clean that up and add animation to it. But for Dad's Army, we had lost, I think it was 3. We lost 3 episodes, like entirely lost them. And the only thing we had, and somehow someone had found the script. So Gold, who are the forefront of British comedy, as in like Dad's Army, they air Dad's Army all the time, so they're we trust them. But what they did was they recast the whole of it. So Matthew Horn, who's famous guy, and Stacey was in it, and they recast it. But it was an original script by Jimmy Perry and David Croft. So it was their script, but it was just new actors performing it as missed episodes. So it was never as like, oh, we're going to make a whole series out of this. It was meant to be 3 episodes, just that. There you go. 2016, they did a Dad's Army film. That was awful, because that was an original film. A whole new cast. Bill Nye in Dad's Army. It didn't really work. I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't really finish the film. I got halfway through and just didn't enjoy it. I did at my local theatre. If you know the theatre, please do not give the name in the description. My local theatre. At my local theatre, they did their own version of Dad's Army, which were remakes, which were stage versions of the original stories. They were perfect. They were so much better than that 2016 film. If I had filmed that, I could have put that in my collection and gone, what an outstanding piece. That was amazing. That was as good as the missing episodes were. I enjoyed that. So, there you have it. But the rear guard itself didn't really work. The characters just didn't seem to work well. I've only ever seen a minute of it, which is the clip we all saw. So, I can't talk too much on it. But I just don't think a US version of Dad's Army would have worked. If they did a modern version of, if they did it in their own military program about modern day military now, that could work in its sense, but not. MASH was about the army, and that worked perfectly. But Dad's Army transfers to the rear guard. The name didn't really fit. The theme tune was quite good. The theme tune's quite good, so I quite like the theme tune. That's the only positive I can say about it. It didn't work. It was amazing. Is there any other information we can get from it? Well, we've got IMDb, which is really lucky. They call it a film or a TV movie on here. So the IMDb say the pilot episode of the American version of the British TV sitcom comedy Dad's Army. This episode was a recreation of the Deadly. Anyway, so we've heard all that, and we've seen. So the cast itself, I don't have a problem with. I just didn't think that it would have worked if it went any further. The writers were David Croft, Arthur Julie, and Jimmy Perry. The director was Hal Cooper. Storyline, we already know the storyline. Quotes, you're also next. So, here we go. This is my version of the rear guard. Your name also goes on the list. What is it? Don't tell him, Henderson. Ah, Henderson. That didn't work. Let's go again. Your name will also go on the list. Don't tell him, Pike. Ah, Pike. Your name goes on the list. So it works better because the whole episode, that section was about the chippy. We get a chippy order, and so that worked. But in the rear guard, I just didn't think it worked. One reviewer says, didn't work. Wow, an American version of the BBC comedy classic Dad's Army. What a masterstroke of stupidity. It's a bit like making an American version of Fawlty Towers, or a British version of Married with Children. Who in their right minds would do that? Oh, hold on. Someone did it. Both. Yeah, right. What else does the review say? There's two things you should know. One is both Britain the country and Britain the sitcom are divided. Right, okay. We won't go any further with that because the comment goes on forever, so we'll leave it at that. But yes, our comedy doesn't really translate well in America, right? So with Married with Children, when it went to Married for Life, which we'll do a whole separate video on, it didn't work either because American humour doesn't work well in Britain. So it's never the programme and the way it works. It's just comedy doesn't really translate. If they did a New Zealand or Australian version of Dad's Army, or like they did with Are You Being Served Australia, that sort of worked because their comedy's slightly similar to ours, but us in America with comedy are different. I like Modern Family because that's a really good programme, but if they did a British version, it wouldn't work as well. So, there you have it. That is my point of views and discussions on the rear guard. Thank you guys for watching. Tell me to act. Bye!